Okay, thank you, grade 8, for tuning in to your 11th Reachback during this quarantine period. Your answers to the 4 story problems that you had. We'll get right into them. Question number 1 asks the question: Samantha's getting a job scooping ice cream at Sunny's this summer. She is scheduled to work 25 hours a week and she will make $12.75 an hour. After working for 8 weeks, how much Samantha will earn? How much will she earn? Well, since it is a part of the proportional reasoning, and I'll just highlight this for you, what you were asked to do was use proportional reasoning to solve it. So let's first figure out how much does she make in 1 week. Now she makes $12.75 an hour, and she works for 25 hours. If I take my calculator and multiply this out, then $12.75 multiplied by the 25 hours she works, she will receive $318.75 for working that week. Okay, so let's make this into a proportion. If we think about money to time, which is a standard rate that we would use, then we could say $318.75 for 1 week, I'll put my dollar sign here, is proportional to how much money for 8 weeks. Okay? So if you set it up like this and you ask yourself, there's 3 methods I could use. The first method is to break it down into a unit rate, which it already is, and then find a multiplier to get the other one. Or you could cross multiply. Both will work. So it really doesn't matter, but obviously if we look at this question, the easiest way for me to do it is just to multiply both by 8. And when I take my $318.75, so 318.75, and multiply it by 8, I get $2,550. So that's the answer that X would be using proportional reasoning. The second question from Pythagorean relationship chapter on chapter 3 says in Major League Baseball, bases are 90 feet apart. So I'm going to draw home plate here. This is home plate, and I guess it's kind of triangular. That's a really bad one. And here's first base. There's second base. There's third base, and there's the pitcher mound right there. Okay. So it says it's 90 feet apart. So this is 90 feet. This is 90 feet. And the question is, if the catcher wants to throw a ball from home plate to first, how far does he have to throw it? So what we really have here, if we look at this, this is here, this is here, and the hypotenuse, if I can rotate it, is really this distance here. This is home here. Oh, hang on a second. So if I draw it in blue here again, take this out, and then rotate it, we now see a very poorly drawn right triangle. Now let's try this again. I'll make it appear like this. Okay, there we go. So there's our right triangle. So we have 90 feet here, and we have 90 feet here. There, that's a little better. And X is going to be the distance. So we can use a formula, or we can just draw our legs and our squares onto our legs and our hypotenuse. If the side length is 90, then it's 1,800 will be its area of that square. 1,800 will be the area of this square, and 3,600 will be the area of this square. So if the area of the square attached to that hypotenuse, or that distance from home plate to second, is 3,600, then we grab our calculator and say, what is the square root of 3,600? And it's 60. So therefore, the answer is the distance from home plate to second is not 60 feet. I made a mistake here somewhere. Where did I make a mistake? Oh, oopsie daisy. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, let me grab my eraser. This was totally... See, that's when you make a... Oh, hang on. When you make a mistake, you got to be able to go back and figure out where you made a mistake. 90 times 90 is not 1,800, you big goofy. 90 times 90 is 8,100. 8,100. Which is not 3,600, it's 16,200. And if I grab my calculator and say, what is the square root of 16,200? Oh, 16,200. Square root. It's 127 feet, roughly. So therefore, it's about 127 feet from second base to home plate, or from home plate to second. Oopsie daisy. Question 3 from Chapter 4 on percents. Will has 80% of the amount of views on TikTok as Maddie does. If Maddie has 620 views, how many more views does Maddie have than her dad? So let's look at this. It's kind of a trick question, and I'll explain. So Will has 80% of Maddie's 620. Now 80% is, of course, as a decimal, 0.8 or 0.80 of his multiplication. So if I grab my calculator and figure out what is 80% of 620. Oh, I pressed that twice, didn't I? Let's try that again. What is 80% of 620? And the answer is 496. But that's not the answer. If you read it carefully, it says, how many more views does she have than Will? So then I have to take Maddie's 620 views, subtract mine, and I will get 124. So therefore, she has 124 more views. Okay, good. And the last question on surface area, a 4-finger Kit Kat bar. So I'm going to draw the first one. The 4-fingered Kit Kat bar, not the crunchy one, but just the regular one. And then we have the crunky, chunky one, which is a little bit thicker. Right? It's more like this. Oh, this is really bad. These are really bad. Well, we'll call this the Kit Kat A and Kit Kat B. Okay? So Kit Kat A is 1 centimeter by 7.5 by 10. And B is 2 centimeters by 3 centimeters by 17 centimeters. So if we use our formulas instead of the nets, we can go 2 front and back rectangles plus 2 left and right triangles plus 2 top and bottom rectangles. And I can just clone this. I'm going to grab this whole thing here and I'm going to clone it because we're going to use it twice. We're going to use it for this one over here too. And if we think about what is the front and back, well, there's the front there. And it is 2 10 by 7.5s. And if we think about the left and right, there's the left and the right. So it's going to be 2 10 by 1s. Oh, that's not good. That's better. And then the top and bottom, which is right here, are 7.5. So it's 2 7.5 by 1s. Okay. So when we do the math on these would be 2 75s, which is 150. And we have two 10s, which is 20. And we have 2 7.5s, which is 15. So if I extend the page here, the total surface area of the regular Kit Kat is 185 centimeters squared. If I look at the second one, and I say, what's the front and back? Well, the front's here. The front is going to be, there's 2 rectangles that are 17 by 3. And there are 2 rectangles for the left or right, which are 2 by 3. And there are 2 top and bottom, which are 17 by 2. And then we have 2 that are 30, 51. We have 2 that are 6. And we have 2 that are, is that a 2 there? Yeah, so 2 that are 34. So we have 102 plus 12 plus 68. That's going to be 78, 80. Oh, is that right? 70, 80? 182 centimeters squared. Ooh, that's a very interesting one. Now, unless my math is wrong, I might have made a mistake somewhere. But if I didn't make any mistakes, then the regular Kit Kat has slightly more surface area than the other one. Okay. I hope you guys did well on these. If you had any questions or concerns, make sure you ask your teacher. As always, stay safe, wash your hands, maintain good social distancing, and don't let your boomer parents drive you crazy.